Hello, good evening, and welcome along to Betting Weekly WTA. It's the biggest betting weekly WTA of the year. And I'm delighted to say joining me is our WTA handicapper. It is Rory Jiwani, somewhere in the south of England, looking for an internet connection. He's found one finally. And we are here to discuss what is the biggest tennis tournament of the year for American bettors. American tennis, people come into tennis this week, never betting tennis before, and they come to Flushing Meadow to find the winners. And the man we are trusting to find the winners for everybody is Rory Jiwani, our man. How are you, Rory?
I'm not bad. Yes, I am in the south of England. I'm in a very nice. Well, I'm in Honiton, which is in South
Oh,
Devon.
yes, I know.
And
We are not far from Stonehenge.
yeah, not a million miles away.
You're on the
No.
Honington Road. It's actually on the M5, I think it is.
Yeah. So I've been down in Sidmouth today, on the beach. It's very nice. I'd thoroughly recommend it. Very nice. Bit of sea air and walking around. Like, very nice little town. Because it's actually my birthday today, so we've been
Oh,
celebrating.
happy birthday. You didn't tell me that. You
Thank
kept
you.
that very quiet.
I normally
You
do,
kept that
but
very
no.
quiet. Happy birthday. Is it a
Thank
big
you.
one?
So 47. No,
Oh, okay.
just a
Oh,
standard,
just that.
boring one.
It's
But
a
yeah,
pair
I've
of
been down
socks
with.
one. It's a pair of socks
Oh, I'll
and
take a pair of
a
socks.
cologne, a cologne of £10, 15. But you travel, you come back, you go through duty free, and you see the colognes for about $15 at the end. That's that kind of birthday, isn't it? Really, it's
Yeah,
not a special one.
exactly. It's nothing worth writing home about. So no, but it's been nice with family and just been hanging out by the beach and got back. But I had so as it is my birthday today, and I knew I was going to Sidmouth today. I thought I'd look at all the odds last night, get nice and prepared, have a quick look this morning. And of course, we arranged this meeting. I look at all the odds, it's all changed.
Yeah.
There's been so much movement in the odds. So quite glad I had a chance to get over this. We've got quarter betting as well with Bet Rivers for this tournament, which is really I really do like the quarter bets. So a lot to get our teeth into over the next half hour or so.
Yeah, head across the Bet Rivers website, loads of specials. What we're going to do here, we're going to break down each quarter. So Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and Flushing Meadow. Look at the outright market as well. Give a tournament winner pick or a couple of picks as well that Rory likes here. But the first one we're going to look at is coming into this tournament. Obviously, if you go back through the history of the tournament, Coco Gauff won it last year. Iga Swiatek has won one tournament. It's the one, she hasn't won Wimbledon, but she's never really performed well here. Emma Raducanu in 2021 had that amazing run where she beat Leylah Fernandez in the final. Naomi Osaka has won it a couple of times as well. But it's really been a tournament, at the end of the year, it's a tournament where you can get a shock winner. The Australian Open usually goes to a favourite. Wimbledon usually goes to well, not really Wimbledon in recent years. That's a bad example. But the French Open goes to a favourite. But the US Open is a tournament where you, as a bettor, do have a chance of finding a big prize winner.
Yeah, and Raducanu was the biggest example of that. Although I seem to remember a funny story about that. I think it was an Australian doubles player. I want to say Ellen Perez, and she was in the qualifiers with Raducanu. And she said afterwards, I'm really annoyed, not annoyed, but obviously tennis players can't bet. But she was saying the way Raducanu was playing in the qualifiers, she thought she would win it.
After
Um,
timing at its best, this woman now needs
yeah,
to go, she's my
absolutely,
block
absolutely.
list. Anybody,
Um,
oh, come on.
no,
No
but
one would have
but she
seen
was
that.
playing so well. She was playing. She barely. Well, I wouldn't say she barely dropped a game, but she was playing unbelievably well
She
in the
had the most
qualifiers.
easiest draw you could ever
She
imagine.
did. I mean,
She
it
just
fell apart for
it
her.
was insane how it went happen. But I
It
mean,
was.
but this is a kind of a tournament, Rory. I mean, you get to sort of September time. The players have been playing for 9 months. Iga Swiatek has mentioned it many, many times throughout the season. They're playing too much tennis. They look burnt out. I mean, we go into this tournament here. Let's look at the contenders. I mean, look at them. I mean, Iga Swiatek is not playing at all well. Her form
No.
is pretty shocking. See, I wrote a record down here on she got beat by Zheng in the Olympics, putting their saver at Wimbledon, Sabalenka at Cincinnati. We have Coco Gauff, who we did allude to at the time when she went to the Olympics. We thought it was a bad decision. We thought she should have played in the 1,000 event. I think it was where was it? It was
It was the
Montreal, was it?
500 in Washington.
Washington,
There was a
500 Washington.
500 in Washington. Yeah.
She's gone in as the flag bearer for the Americans. She got beat. She had a tantrum against Beckett. She got beat by Schneider. She got again beat by Saver. You've got Rybakina, who hasn't played, hasn't won a match since Wimbledon, the quarterfinal at Wimbledon. It is a tournament where you do have a chance by taking a big price on a player that can just hit a bit of form here. And it's the battle of the fitness, really.
Yeah, and form. You mentioned the word form. I mean, Coco Gauff, in hindsight, was a fairly, I'm not going to say obvious, but she wasn't difficult to find last year. You know, we did talk about her in a preview. She'd won Cincinnati. I think she'd won another tournament. I think it was Washington. She won Washington as well, if my memory serves me right. And she was semi-finalist or a semi-finalist in the Canadian Open. She was coming into in really good form. Swiatek 2 years ago was coming into it in really good form. So, you know, there is that form angle. But yeah, as you say, a lot of these players are not coming into this tournament in form, and they're ones probably to oppose. You could probably have said that about Sabalenka until last week, until she won Cincinnati. She'd been kind of knocking on the door. She'd been getting to the quarters and semi-finals of tournaments, but not winning anything. You know, Cincinnati was her first win since the Australian Open. Sabalenka obviously now is the favourite, and rightfully so. But, you know, you're looking at the likes of who else would be in form. Deanna Schneider's probably a player in form. Paula Badosa's gone deep in tournaments in recent weeks. Jessica Pegula is probably the informed player on the tour at the moment. Is she a possible slam winner? I mean, I would have probably have said no in the past. For me, she's always been just that bit below the top bracket, the top rank of women's tennis. But in her form, you've got to give her a chance, especially as, you know, organisers are saying this US Open is going to be perhaps a bit quicker than in previous years. Pegula likes it fast. You know, any speeding up of the courts is going to help the likes of Sabalenka, Pegula, Rybakina. It's not going to help the likes of Swiatek and Gauff. So that's another thing to take into consideration. But I think, you know, I don't think you're going to go too far wrong backing in-form players. It's risky, given what has happened in recent years, given the time of year, given what you've said about fitness, all these tournaments coming up to almost September. Out of form players don't seem to go well at the US Open.
I think it's a case with majors, especially where the first major of the year is all about form and the last major of the year is all about form. The ones in between, the French Open is all about the conditions. There's only certain players. Iga Swiatek's dominated that slam, and there's only certain players who can play on the Roland Garros slow service. Wimbledon has become a little bit of a lottery now. So I do think it's definitely about form and fitness levels at the beginning and the end of the season. You touched on it there about the court speed. I've read the same articles as well. It's going to be quick. It's going to be quicker than what it has been in recent years. They said it was going to be pretty much similar to the court speed at Cincinnati. It's going to be the same kind of speed. And that was a tournament where Sabalenka won and won it well. And, you know, she blitzed Swiatek. She didn't lose a set in the whole of the week. She was in dominant fashion. So it does help her. It does help Rybakina, you would have thought. Is there anybody else sort of in that sort of mix that you think the conditions would actually help those players well? Because those two are right at the top end of the market. Anyone at the bottom? Because, like I say, we could get a big price semi-finalist, quarter-finalist, or, you know, someone going deep in the tournament, which allows us to be in a trading position with Bet Rivers.
Yeah, I think Badosa is one who could be helped with her serve. I mean, she went deep in Cincinnati. Unfortunately for us, she went out in the semi-finals to Pegula. Obviously, Pegula, it helps her. I don't think it harms someone like Krejcikova. See, she's the Wimbledon champion, reigning Wimbledon champion. Hasn't played much tennis at all since Wimbledon. She did play in the Olympics, singles and doubles. I don't think she's played since. I'm not even sure that's a problem for her these days, but we'll discuss that later. Other than that, no, not really. I think it's more about the players it adversely affects, like Gauff and Swiatek, particularly for Gauff. I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that she puts it all together in this fortnight, but especially with the court speeds being quicker, you'd bet against it.
We saw last year Gauff obviously winning the tournament, but I do think there's a massive amount of pressure on these American players to deliver at their home slam, like you see in every tournament in the world. You've got to be a certain kind of character. I do believe with Gauff, it was a terrible decision for her to go to the Olympics. I thought the flag bearer position, she felt like the nation was on her shoulders, she's never good. I think it's going to take her a bit of time to recover from that. Pegula has always been someone I've just always wanted to fade when it got to the business end of a major. I don't think she's got it in her. Her father's got more money than the King Charles over here, so I don't think she's really got that sort of bite in it like a Swiatek, that determination to win the big ones. But we'll see where it goes. What we're going to do to start off with, we're going to go through the quarters. As you said, Rory, Bet Rivers have odds to win each quarter, and we love quarter betting. We love the idea of going quarters. So what we're going to do is go Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then at the end of the show, we're going to have a wrap up on who we think the best bets are to win the US Open for this year. And we'll start off with Q1. Iga Swiatek is the number 1 seed. She's the number 1 player in the world, but as we said earlier, she's not playing very well. The quick conditions aren't going to help her. She's in the draw with, she has in that section, she has Jess Pegula, which is going to be very difficult for her. She also have Andreeva, who the young talented Russian player, Danielle Collins, who Rory has touched on as a potential US Open winner way back when we went down these shows. Emma Raducanu is also in that section as well. Deanna Schneider, playing some of the best tennis out of anyone at the moment, arguably, and Samsonova, who is also a big threat with big servers, with quick conditions. Casey Bolter is always in there, but I don't think she's going to be a threat here. You've also got Kenin, who's just announced their retirement. Shelby Rogers just announced their retirement. Kenin is in there as well. They're in the same section, so Rogers plays Pegula. You also have, we have Towson, who's another talented player as well. Azaria, who's always got the support. She opens up with a tough first round match against Andreeva. And so it's quite a tough Q1 for Iga Swiatek, and Iga Swiatek is available at plus 105. Now, if you had looked at quarter betting in majors earlier in the year, that was the kind of price she was going off to win the majors, and let alone win the quarter. She would have been like minus $3 to win a quarter. So I can imagine a lot of people seeing that carrot that Bet Rivers are offering at plus 105 Iga Swiatek and betting it. I wouldn't be betting it.
No, nor would I. She doesn't have a bad draw, to be honest. First couple of rounds look pretty routine. She's got Kamila Rakimova, the Russian. I think she was a lucky loser, actually, Rakimova. First up, then probably Daria Saville, the Australian, in round 2. I mean, neither of those should cause her any problems. Then it gets a little bit tougher. Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova probably in round 3, who showed signs of coming back to form in last week or two. But then in round 4, either Mira Andreeva or Lyudmila Samsonova, as you mentioned, who is pretty dangerous, who can be dangerous in quick conditions with her big serve. And then in the quarterfinal, you're looking at either Pegula, Collins, or Schneider, most likely. Not plus 105, no thanks. I mean, I think that's tough enough. As I said, her first 3 matches should be fairly comfortable, but after that, it does get a lot tougher. Collins was pretty dreadful last week, this week in Monterey. I mean, a load of unforced errors in her first round defeat. That doesn't put me off entirely for her as a prospect to go deep in this tournament. You go back to when I talked about her as a US Open possibility. That was after she won Miami and then she won Charleston in consecutive weeks. This is her last US Open, of course. She's retiring at the end of this year. Massive incentive to go well. Probably comes into this, even though it's her last tournament, not feeling a great deal of pressure. And I know it probably sounds a bit strange to say, but she won her 1,000 at Miami. She won in Charleston. I don't think anyone expected her to do that this year, especially it being her last year. She can just go for it. She's got nothing to lose in her last slam. She could go deep. Pegula, as mentioned, probably the informed player on the tour at the moment. So, that's the first quarter. That's difficult. Swiatek, the favourite, is one to oppose. Who do you oppose it with? That's the question. Pegula at $3.
Didn't trust Pegula at $3. You couldn't trust Pegula.
No, I'm the same. I mean, I feel like you about her. Like, just doesn't quite have it when it gets to when it comes to the crunch.
Well, she's going to play. Sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. She's going to play
Raducanu second round,
and she could potentially play Collins in the last 16 which
Yeah.
will definitely be a night match on Ash. And when it comes down the bottle and the determination and grit, I take Collins if they met to beat Pegula in a night match on Ash. I can see Pegula fading the pressure and Collins thriving on it. So I think she's a fade at 3. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, I totally get it. I mean, she's got Eben Raducanu's second match, and Raducanu beat her at Eastbourne. I mean, Pegula's no great shakes on grass, but Raducanu's won this tournament before. If she manages to get back to form, that's a very tough match for Pegula. Andreeva at $7 is interesting in the first quarter, just because she is talented. She has shown she can mix it with the best. Collins at $8, Raducanu at $12, Schneider at 14, Samsonova at 18. This is a lively market. This is not a one-horse race. It's more than a two-horse race. It's not one. I mean, if I had to pick one, possibly Collins at 8, but you could have a couple of goes at this and get a decent run for your money. But I think the bottom line is Swiatek is no price at +105.
Yeah, +105. She's a fade in Q1. She's obviously going to be a fade on the outright market as well. Head across to BetRivers website and the app for all the latest prices on these, all the specials as well. The match betting will be available now. All the matches start on Monday in New York in Flushing Meadow. The one thing about the draw is the top half of the draw is very much weighted much heavier than the bottom half of the draw, as you're going to see from these quarters here. So Q2, we move on to Q2, where you think the first heat, the quarter is very, very competitive. Well, Q2 is even more competitive. We have Aryna Sabalenka in there section. She's a $2 favorite to win Q2. We have Naomi Osaka at $6. Jasmine Paolini, the finalist, obviously at Wimbledon and also at the French Open. She's $8. Kalinskaya 10. Leylah Fernandez, who got to the final here against Raducanu, 12. Muchova, who wouldn't be a show with Rory without mentioning Karolina Muchova. She's 14. Haddad Mayer at 14. Ostapenko at 16. And Caroline Garcia at 20. They're the leading contenders. The big match of this quarter is Ostapenko against Osaka, and I think whoever wins that match will fancy their chances to go very, very deep here. And judging by the outright market on Q2, 6-1 Osaka, 16-1 Ostapenko. I'm not so sure whether there's that much of a difference between the two of them. I think if Ostapenko comes to some kind of price here, I think I might take the Latvian here.
Yeah, totally agree. I think. I mean, Osaka's been talking about her woes since returning, saying since childbirth her body doesn't feel like her own, and obviously she ran Swiatek close at Roland Garros under the roof, had chances to win that match, has shown very little since, and of course her price halved. She halved in price for this tournament after that performance at Roland Garros, and her price halved for Wimbledon, despite her having shown nothing on grass in the past. You couldn't back Osaka for this tournament based on what she's shown. I mean, she's never been one to perform that well in normal tournaments, let's call them, but and does seem to save her best for the slams. But she's shown nothing of late, and she's clearly not happy with her game. So Osaka $6, Ostapenko 16. Obviously, Ostapenko would be the way to go, but can you trust Ostapenko to go deep in a tournament? She has the odd good win, and then inexplicable defeat. And it's said it before. She needs a health warning to back her.
Wealth warning, not health warning. Wealth, public wealth warning.
Yeah, totally. She's just unreliable. She's one of the most talented players on the circuit. She can beat anyone when she's playing well. When she's on her game, she hits winners for fun. But she's not really a betting proposition. And as you say, this is a deep quarter, really tough quarter. Rybakina, who I'd really like if she was in any sort of form, but she's barely played since Wimbledon. She hasn't won since Wimbledon, as you said. Paolini is really interesting.
She's got to be burnt out, surely. She's played so much tennis. I mean,
she has, but she seems to thrive on it. She's one of those players that just looks like she loves being out on court and just keeps going. What was it? Did she win? She didn't win gold, did she? I think she did win gold in the doubles.
She won gold in the doubles, yes.
Yeah, with Irani. It's incredible. She's having I thought, when she won Dubai, I thought, her world ranking was too high, and then I saw a couple of weeks later, I thought, oh, maybe she can do a bit more. And obviously, we were on her to reach the final of the French. She reached the final of Wimbledon, which came from nowhere. She's definitely worth her place in the top 5, 6 in the world. And $8 about a player who's in form and is that good, has shown this season a level of consistency. $8 for her to win this quarter looks quite big. Going down the list, I'd love to back Mukova, who has shown signs. I mean, she's not played badly in recent weeks. I think we'd need to see a bit more from her. Going even further down, Bianca Andreescu, she's $22. She's a former champion.
She plays Paolini in round 1.
Yes, exactly. That's another reason why.
I think Paolini's vulnerable. I think she gets beaten in round 1.
That's part of the reason for me not backing Paolini to win this quarter market, just because Andreescu first up could be tough. Andreescu sounds pretty relaxed. I read an interview with her recently where she sounds like she's enjoying her tennis. Again, she hadn't done that for some time. She's a player like Ostapenko, like Raducanu. If the cards fall right and if she's on her game, she's capable of mixing it with the very best. Quarter 2 looks really, really tough. Really tough. Too tough for me to have a bet. I'd love to see Rybakina go deep. I think her game is suited to these conditions, but it's been a long while since she's had a really good tournament, and I think $2 is just too short. It's a bit of a leap of faith. But
she has.
I'm happy to leave alone.
She has a very favourable draw, Rybakina, you must admit. I mean, she to me, I can't see her really not getting through the quarterfinals. And there's so many big ties in this quarter. You have Ostapenko against Osaka. You have Putinetseva against Noskova. You have Andreescu against Paolini. So there's big ties in the first round here. I'm going to throw a dart at Putinetseva at 25-1 to win this quarter. I think she beat Wimbledon. She beat Swiatek at Wimbledon. She can handle the conditions. She just beat Gauff at Cincinnati as well. I think if she has a day, she's more than capable to come through here. And I think these seeds in this draw, I think Rybakina is vulnerable. On paper, yes, she should win it, but she's rusty. She's vulnerable. She's not fit. And she's someone that's always prone to injury. And I think at the end of the year,
yes.
I think she's, if you better take the $2, I think you're going to take a chance. So I'm going to have a little lean. I'm putting it safe here at 25-1. That's my lean. But the top half of the draw is absolutely loaded. There is no doubt about it. It's absolutely loaded. Q3, we're going to move on to Q3, where I think we've got a very, very false favourite here and a player that I feel that is very vulnerable. It's Coco Gauff. Obviously, she's the sweetheart of the American betting public. She's the flag bearer of the Olympics. She's an advertising dream in New Balance. But I tell you what, she's defending champion, and we've seen it happen before at Wimbledon. We've seen it happen before at French Opens. We've seen it happen before here at Flushing Meadow. There is a huge pressure when you come to a tournament as defending champion. Everyone expects, and I'm not so sure whether Coco Gauff can live to that expectation. She's plus 140 to win Q3. Paula Badosa has been heavily bet today. She's $6 to win Q3. Emma Navarro, the New Yorker, she's $7 to win Q3. Kajikova, the Wimbledon champion, is 8. Svitolina is 9. Kostyuk is 14. Sakkari is 14. And Azarenka is 20. If the draw pans out to the way it should do, we should have a last 16 battle between Navarro and Gauff. And I'm hoping and praying that we get that, because that, again, will be an ash match with a New Yorker Navarro with all the crowd behind her. Gauff having some support as well. But I think the New Yorker will outfight Gauff in this match. So I think Gauff here at plus 140 is a complete fade in this quarter, and I think she's the biggest fade of the whole of the quarter betting.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What price is she? She's plus 140. It's way too short. She's not won many matches in the last few weeks. I think we've been talking about matchups. Obviously, some really nice first round matchups. For me, right at the top of this third quarter, in round 3, potentially 2 players who I think could go a long way here. Obviously, only one of them is going to get past round 3, who are Barbara Krejcikova and Paula Badosa. And they're going to meet in round 3. Well, they should meet in round 3. And then the winner of that would probably play, I was going to say Navarro, but it'd probably be Sakkari, Maria Sakkari. And then Navarro or Kostyuk, who wouldn't be without a chance, Marta Kostyuk in these conditions. Aryna Sabalenka, again, someone who's capable of going deep in this tournament, and Gauff would be the quarterfinal opponents. Yeah, if it's quicker than last year, then that counts against Gauff. Navarro's a funny one. I mean, you talked about Pegula and her sort of, having more money than God and everything like that.
Yeah,
Navarro's similar.
yeah.
Navarro's the same.
But she's got a bit of fight. I watched her play Azario the other day in Monterrey, and it was an incredible match. But she had fight. She had a lot of fight about her, and she's got that New Yorker spirit. And I just feel that on the night match at Ash, if she played Gauff,
and she beat her at Wimbledon as well.
Yeah, the occasion would get to Gauff, and I think she's. Yeah, but I know she's got the money. I know she's had a privileged upbringing, but I just think she's got that sort of gritty fight about her, and she was brilliant against Azario with all the South American support, the Colombian support behind her. But she outfought her and she won it in the end by grinding her down. And I don't think you'll see that with Pegula. Pegula wins easy. When it gets in the battle, I wouldn't trust her.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've seen Navarro lose matches that she should have won as well, and I don't know. I would fancy Navarro against Gauff, certainly. I mean, Gauff's open about against Varvara Gracheva isn't the easiest. And Gracheva took a set off Swiatek last week, and then Kostyuk against Navarro. I think that would be an interesting match. Let's assume Gauff gets to the quarterfinals. And then she probably plays one of Krejcikova or Badosa. I'd fancy one of those against Gauff. I mean, there are good players in this quarter, but they're just not in form. Victoria Azarenka has a great record in the US Open. She's a finalist, losing finalist to Osaka a few years back. She's been injured, hasn't been in good form. Maria Sakkari, good player, but poor form at present. So, I mean, I think this quarter you've got Krejcikova, Badosa, Navarro, and Gauff, and possibly Kostyuk, other players to look at. For me, Krejcikova, I think, is a bet here and a bet outright. Just because, as I say, she hasn't played much tennis in recent weeks. She hadn't played much tennis before Wimbledon. She'd lost a lot of matches before Wimbledon, but she just managed to put it all together. Maybe I'm asking for lightning to strike twice here, but Badosa apart, her draw doesn't look too bad. She's been on holiday in Dubai. She won Wimbledon. This is a free hit. This is just, she's got absolutely zero pressure coming into this tournament, unlike Gauff, unlike Sabalenka. And we know that when she's on her game, she can beat anyone. She did it in Dubai last year. She beat Pegula, Swiatek, Sabalenka to win the title. She's won Roland Garros before. At Wimbledon, she was a set down against Rybakina, came back to win. She can do it. And she's $8 to win this quarter. She's $66 outright. I think both are too big. Badosa has been in good form of late, really returned to her best. She won in Washington, semi-finalist last week in Cincinnati, where she fell to Pegula. And that was a funny match because there was a rain delay. Pegula took the first set very comfortably. Badosa came roaring back in the second and just couldn't quite get it done in the third. And if they were to meet again, who knows? She might get the better of Pegula in a rematch. But I think Badosa against Krejcikova, hopefully they get through to the third round. The winner of that, I think, wins the quarter.
So come on. Sorry, go on, Rory.
I'm going to back both. I'll back Badosa at $6 a point and Krejcikova at $8 a point.
So that's our first official picks for Q3. We've got some leans as well. Got one final quarter before we wrap up and look at the outright market as well. But Q4 sees the heaviest favourite of all the quarters, and it's the recent winner of Cincinnati. It's Aryna Sabalenka, who is -143 to win Q4. Next in is Cameron Zheng at 8, Madison Keys 9, Anisimova at 12, Donna Vekic at 12, Kasatkina at 20. Then we go into some really, really big prices. I think the big thing here is obviously Sabalenka's in great form. Brilliant last week in Cincinnati, looking confident. But the other thing is that we've got another huge matchup in round one here between Zheng and Anisimova, who has been someone I wanted to look at to potentially win the US Open. Now she's been drawn against the Olympic champion. So we're going to lose a big gun here in Q4, and it makes that Q4 a lot weaker And I think Sabalenka has been given what looks to me a very, very easy route here. Wouldn't bet her at -143 though, but it's a very, very easy route.
Yeah, she has been handed a lovely draw. Couldn't have asked for much better. Round 4 gets a bit tricky. She gets either Ons Jabeur or Madison Keys. If Madison Keys is fit, we know she was injured at Wimbledon and she had to withdraw during her comeback match. I can't remember where that was now. I think was it Cincinnati or it was the week before. It was Washington. It was Washington. And then, well, and also she has got the possibility. There is a possible fly in the ointment here in the quarterfinals where she could face Zheng or Anisimova or Donna Vekic, who does have a winning head-to-head record over Sabalenka. And Vekic has been in really good form. She reached the semi-finals at Wimbledon. She reached the final at the Olympics at Roland Garros. Certainly be against Sabalenka at -143. I think that's too short a price. She should go deep. But my worry with Sabalenka is just the pressure of this. She's coming into this tournament as the big favourite. And I'm not sure that really sits well with her. We know she can struggle with her serve under pressure. She can serve a lot of double faults. Last year, I keep thinking back to last year, she got bageled by Madison Keys in the semi-finals and somehow came back. She should have beaten Coco Gauff in the final, but didn't get it done. And obviously, she's won 2 Australian Opens. I'm still not sure about her. She hasn't won Wimbledon yet. She hasn't won the US Open yet. And I'm still inclined to be against her. If she wins the US Open, fine, she can do it without my money. But until she does it, I'm not convinced she's going to win one. Just because I think she's had enough in a lot of these tournaments. You could have said that before she won the Australian Open. She's had a lot of chances at slams and hasn't won one yet. So she hasn't. She did win the Australian Open. She's won it twice. US Open, I'm still just got a feeling against her. Is she going to win this quarter? Perhaps. I mean, her draw has been kind. If she was to come up against Donna Vekic in the quarterfinals, that could be really, really interesting. And for that reason, and because she's gone deep in a lot of these recent tournaments, I'll be going for Vekic at $12, just a half point, $12 to win the 4th quarter.
So Donna Vekic is Rory's pick to win Q4. So there's a couple of picks there, official picks. In Q3, we are going for Krejcikova at 8. We're also going for Badosa at 6. And in Q4, we're going for Donna Vekic at 12. So they are our quarter picks. Obviously, we're building up now to win the tournament. And you can see really where Roy's going with this on his picks. You can see where he's already said he's quite keen on those players. But let's have a look at the outright market to win the US Open. And Aryna Sabalenka is the +240 favourite. Iga Swiatek is +375. And I know a lot of people on this show who watch this show are huge Iga Swiatek fans, and they will see that +375 and they will not be able to stop themselves from betting it. She's so far clear as number 1 in the world at the moment, but this is coming into the worst form at the moment. And Sabalenka now is the girl who's overtaken her as favourite. Coco Gauff at 8. The Americans are hoping and praying that she can win back-to-back titles. Rebecca at 12. Rusty. Peggy at 12. Has she got it to win a major? I'm not so sure. Mira Andreeva 20. Always flatters to see. Very low price because they're so talented. Danielle Collins 25. Not playing well at all. Kenwin Zheng 28-1. But she plays Anisimova in round 1. Nazarka 28-1. She also has a real tough first round match against Ostapenko. Paolini 33-1. Well, she plays Andreescu, but also 40-1 on the comeback trail. Madison Keys 40-1. Emma Navarro at 50. Raducanu at 50. 50-1 Mukova and 60-1 Svitolina. I pretty much ruled out every single player in that draw, barring 3. Who are you going to go for, Rory, to win the US Open? Who's our official pick?
Well, I mentioned a couple already. I'm tempted by a couple because I said when I looked last night and this morning, they were shorter prices than they are now. One of those is Jasmine Paolini, who's now $33, which I'm half tempted by, just because
that first round match. So it's factored in that first round match. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is in there. I think I'll leave her alone. She's a bit of a lean. but I think Krejcikova at $66 looks too big, just because we know what she's capable of. If she wasn't so reliable, Ostapenko at $80 would be a pick, but she's too unreliable, and that's just, yeah, she's talented enough to win this, but she probably won't. Vekic at $90 is another one who's interesting. Kostyuk at $125, another one who's interesting. But my other pick's going to be Badosa at $40. I think that's quite a fair price given what she's shown of late. She's been pretty close in Cincinnati in the semis. She won Washington. She's playing very well. Quick conditions should suit her reasonably well. She's been serving well. I do like those two. Obviously, they meet in the third round. They're scheduled to meet in the third round. I think whoever wins that meeting can go a very long way. And I suppose the issue is if, you know, they're probably going to meet Sabalenka in the semis. Badosa doesn't beat Sabalenka, her best friend. Krejcikova could beat her, I think. It's, you know, I think the bottom half is the way to go. We've talked about draws.
Without a shadow of a doubt, especially with the each way betting with Bet Rivers. Half the odds 1-2 with Bet Rivers. You've got the each way part in that bottom half the draw. You've got to be playing each way to try and get someone through in that bottom half. The top half is just stacked.
It's a minefield. It's an absolute minefield, the top half. You know, even just looking at the betting, the outright betting, I think 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 6 of the top 7 players in the betting are in the top half, if I'm not mistaken. No, Gauff isn't.
Gauff, you're two of the top 8.
Yeah, so 2 of the top 8 are in the bottom half. So it's the place to go. And Sabalenka, you can't really back her at 2. I don't think you can back her at 240. I just think with that pressure element, look, she should be favourite. I agree with that. She can win without my money on. That's my way of looking at it. But those two, I mean, you know, there are interesting players at big prices. I mentioned Vekic, I mentioned Kostyuk, even Mukova. I mean, Mukova at $50 is actually a bit shorter than she should be, but wouldn't surprise me to see her go deep. Collins is too short at 25s, given her recent troubles. Rybakina, if she was in form, $10 would look a big price, but she's not, so that's why she's $10. I do think this is a very, very open tournament, but you want to be looking at the bottom half because the top half is a minefield.
100%. Bottom half is where you want to head. And also you want to head to the Bet Rivers website and the app for all daily specials throughout the US Open. We'll be covering the whole tournament here on Betting Weekly Studios. Make sure you download the podcast Betting Weekly WTA and also Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Also give us a follow on our socials at Because We Win on Instagram and on Twitter. Myself and Sean Calvert will be in New York from next weekend, from Thursday. I'll be there on Thursday. Sean will be arriving on Saturday. Have loads of content courtside from Arthur Ashe for these big matches. Make sure you subscribe to all the contents on your preferred podcast provider. So Rory, just give us a little bit of a recap of where you're going to go here. Where are our official bets?
Yeah, so we've got quarter betting. Third quarter, we've got Paula Badosa at $6 and Barbara Krejcikova at $8. I'm having a 1 point on each of those. And then in the fourth quarter, I'm just having half a point on Donna Vekic at $12. And then outright, we're going to have half a point each way on Paula Badosa at $40 and half a point each way on Barbara Krejcikova at $66. And I think that's your lot.
Now, a lot of people might be new to this podcast, new to betting, new to tennis betting, and you might not understand the terminology of each way. What that means is if you look at the bet, Badosa is 40-1 to win the tournament in New York, and you get half the odds for her to make the final. So she'll get 20-1 for her to make the final, 40-1 to her to win the tournament. And you'll have, say you have $5 each way, $5 will be on her at 40-1 to win the tournament, and $5 will be half the odds at 20-1 to make the final. Same with Krejcikova, 66-1 to win the tournament, $5 at 66-1 to win the tournament, and the other $5 will be at 33-1 with a $10 outlay. So that's how the each way betting works. It's just such a great way to bet, especially in stacked draws like you have here on the women's draw at Flushing Meadow. For me, for what it's worth, I've bet Badosa as well. I've actually had a few quid on Badosa, and I've ruled out everyone in the whole tournament, but I can't rule out Sabalenka. I'm actually better at
Favorite backer.
I'm better at 3-1 though, Rory. I think 3-1 is a big
Okay.
price. I took a bit of 3-1. I had to bet at plus 240. Bet rivers are much shrewder. They make them a little bit of a price. I wouldn't probably bet her at plus 240, but I do think if at 3-1 I would bet her. I think she's the form player, as we touched on in the tournament. I think she's form. I think it's destined in the stars to win this tournament. I think this court speed will help her. I think she can outpower pretty much everyone on the draw on this surface. And the way she dismantled Swiatek was a real statement. It was like a boxer knocking out a heavyweight contender in round 3 and going into a title fight full of confidence. So I think she might just do it pretty comfortably as well. I mean,
was that as much her playing well or Swiatek not playing well?
I think a bit of both. I think a bit of both. I think a bit of both. And I think Sabalenka actually now believes in herself. I think she believes now this is her on this surface. I'm the best in the world, and I think she's got a swagger about her. She's got some confidence about her. My only concern with her, she gets too involved in Instagram. I don't want to see her dancing around. I want to see her concentrating on winning the tournament, then do the dancing around. That'd be my concern. But I do think I think she's the girl to beat, and I do think that she's in that bottom half of the draw. I just cannot see anyone stopping her in a quarter. I think with Zheng playing Anisimova in round 1, that's going to be a long one. I think she can pretty much contain energy all the way through and reach the semi-finals at least. And then I think I'm fading Gauff. Definitely. I'm fading Rybakina. I'm fading Swiatek. And it just rules it out. And I think Sabalenka could pretty win this quite easily, I'm afraid. But anyway, it's all about opinions, and that's what we're here for. Want to know your opinion? If you want to put the comment below in the box here, make sure you like the video. Ring that bell. You get notified of any of the content we have here on Betting Weekly Studios. Make sure you subscribe again, as I keep said earlier. A huge amount of subscribers over the last month or so. Brilliant numbers. Keep the numbers coming. Any questions you want to ask myself, Rory, or anyone of the team here at Betting Weekly Studios, we're happy to answer anything like that. Rory, the last thing I've got to say to you is very happy birthday, and I really appreciate you coming on tonight. On the night of your birthday, 47 years of age. You don't look a day over 46, and really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching. All the content's coming thick and fast. Hopefully we cash some tickets here on the US Open and head across to the BetRivers website for all those offers, all those specials, and all those bets throughout the tournament. More markets on tennis than any other sportsbook in Northern America. Take care.